Hey everyone, and welcome. We're going to dive into a story about a scientific revolution that pretty much happened overnight. A moment so big, so transformative, that people call it a Big Bang. The moment when, after decades and decades of trying, we finally taught machines how to see.
Okay, so to get this, we've got to rewind the clock, and I mean way back, over 500 million years ago, to a time when life on Earth was, well, kind of quiet.
You see, for the longest time, evolutionary biologists had this huge mystery on their hands, called the Cambrian explosion. If you look at the fossil record, around 540 million years ago, the number of animal species just exploded. It went from just a handful to hundreds of thousands in what is, geologically speaking, the blink of an eye. So the question was, what on earth could have caused that?
Well, a zoologist named Andrew Parker came up with an answer that was just so elegant and powerful. It was the evolution of the very first eyes, the simple ability to see.
Think about it. All of a sudden, some animals could hunt, and other animals had to figure out how not to be hunted. This kicked off what we call an evolutionary arms race, and it massively sped up the complexity of life itself. So, the big takeaway here is this. The arrival of sight fundamentally changed the world. Just hang on to that idea.
All right, let's jump forward about 540 million years to the 1960s. A totally new kind of creator, the computer scientist, starts their own quest to give this same world-changing power of sight to machines. But as they'd find out, this journey was going to be incredibly long and really, really hard.
And they started out with this wild optimism. Back in 1966, researchers at MIT literally thought they could solve the entire problem of vision in a single summer. Of course, that optimism quickly gave way to decades of slow, grinding work, trying to break the problem down into smaller and smaller pieces, from simple edges to geometric parts, and then eventually to key features on an object.
And look, even with some of the most brilliant minds on the planet working on this, progress was just painfully slow. The algorithms they built might work on a few simple blocks in a controlled lab, but they totally fell apart in the messy, complicated real world. They were just stuck with toy examples. So, by the time we get to the 2000s, researchers are starting to have this realization. The problem wasn't just the algorithms. The real bottleneck? It was data. They just didn't have enough pictures of the world to teach a computer what it looked like. And the irony is, that data was starting to pop up everywhere. I mean, check this out. By 2017, a staggering 80% of all internet traffic was video. Researchers had this great name for it, the dark matter of the internet. It's a perfect analogy, right? It's literally everywhere, making up most of the online universe. But for all intents and purposes, our computers couldn't see it or understand any of it. And just to wrap your head around that number, for every single second, not minute, second, that goes by, 5 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube. There's just no way humans could ever watch all that, let alone label it. We needed a totally new approach. And that's where Professor Fei-Fei Li and her team step in. They launched this absolutely massive, audacious project called ImageNet. The plan was just wild. Download billions of images, sort them into categories, and then use thousands of people online through a service called Mechanical Turk to painstakingly clean and label 15 million of them. The goal was to create one giant, high-quality dataset that could be used to train and test AI. So now, with this unbelievable dataset in hand, the stage was set for an annual competition called the ImageNet Challenge. And what went down in 2012? Well, that was the Big Bang moment for computer vision, the moment that changed absolutely everything. So let's look at the numbers, because they tell the whole story. In 2010 and 2011, progress was fine. It was steady. The error rate, which is basically how often the AI messed up, dropped from 28% to 26%. Good, but not world-changing.
And then 2012 happened, and boom, a shockwave hits the community. The error rate didn't just drop a little, it plummeted, all the way down to 16%, a nearly 10-point drop in a single year. That kind of leap was something nobody thought was even possible.
So what happened? What was this game changer? Well, the winner wasn't just a slightly better version of the old techniques. It was a totally different approach, an idea inspired by the human brain, a deep learning model called a convolutional neural network, or CNN. And it didn't just win, it totally smashed the old way of doing things and put the entire field of AI on a brand new path.
But here's the really interesting twist in the story. CNNs? They weren't new at all. The basic ideas had actually been floating around since the 90s. So, why now? Why did they suddenly work so spectacularly well in 2012? What was the secret sauce?
Well, it really boiled down to two crucial ingredients that for the first time ever were available at the same time and at a massive scale. First was data. Huge, clean, labeled datasets like ImageNet. And second was compute power. Specifically, the incredible processing power of modern GPUs. You know, the graphics cards built for video games? Well, it turns out they were the perfect engine for training these huge, data-hungry models.
Okay, so let's bring it to today. That 2012 breakthrough, that was just the spark. It opened up a whole universe of new abilities, but it also showed us what the next great mountain to climb is. What some people are calling the holy grail of vision. I mean, since that moment, AI vision has just exploded. It's way beyond just saying, that's a cat. Now AI can perform object detection. It can draw little boxes around all the different things in a picture. It can do image captioning, writing a whole sentence about what's happening. It can even do semantic segmentation, basically color-coding every single pixel to show you what's a car, what's a person, and what's the road.
But, and this is the really big but, for all these incredible skills, it's all still a form of recognition. It's about labeling the what in a picture. True intelligence, that's about understanding the why.
Okay, look at this photo. You've probably seen it. It's President Obama pulling a little prank on a staffer who's trying to weigh himself. An AI today can look at this and identify the objects. It sees a man, a scale, another man, but it misses everything that actually matters. It doesn't get the joke. It has no concept of the social context of a president being playful or the shared human moment. It sees the pixels, but it completely misses the punchline.
And so that's where we are now. That's the big question hanging over the entire field. We've had our first Big Bang, the one that taught computers how to see. But what's it going to take to kick off the next one? The one that teaches them to understand.